What's up guys, it's CJ from smartkti.com. Verizon Wireless sent over the new Motorola DROID BIONIC for us to review. This Android 2.3.4 Gingerbread powered smartphone was announced way back in January at CES. Unfortunately it was delayed, but out of that came a redesign, and now it's available to purchase from Verizon for a penny under $300 with a new 2-year agreement. It's actually Big Red's first smartphone to combine the power of a dual-core 1 GHz processor with their speedy 4G LTE network. It also sports a 4.3-inch QHD display, a gig of RAM, an 8-megapixel rear camera, a front-facing camera, 16 gigabytes of internal storage, and they even included a 16 gigabyte micro SD card. Alright, so enough with the specs. Let's go ahead and move on and get to the unboxing. So here we have the box. You can see the famous red droid eye peeking through this little window over here. It's kind of creepy, but I guess it makes the packaging more interesting. So let's slide that out. Alright, so here is the box. Droid Bionic. You get a full view of that eye. Let's take a look around the box. Verizon, Google, Motorola logos. Sandwich style box. Nothing too interesting here. 4G LTE logo. Let's go ahead and lift up the box here. The lid. There we go. There is the device, the Droid Bionic. Alright, so it looks pretty good from here, but let's go ahead and flip it out. Get an idea of what it feels like in hand. It actually feels really solid. As usual, Motorola provides some of the best build quality for their smartphones, and this device is no exception. It's fantastic in terms of build quality as far as I can tell. A little bit thick, but it's not too bad. I believe it's actually the same size as maybe some of the other top smartphones out there right now, like the Evo 3D. But in hand, it feels great for me. 4.3-inch screen, very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. There we go. We'll let that load up here in the background while we take a look at what else comes inside the packaging. So we have a USB to micro USB charge and sync cable, and to go along with that we have the wall adapter. Then our usual manuals, product safety information, consumer information, nothing too interesting. There's that Droid Eye boot animation there. 4G SIM card, like I said, this supports Verizon's 4G LTE network. So you'll have a 4G LTE SIM card. Alright, so that's the packaging. And it looks like the device is finished loading up. Let's quickly take a comparison, see what it looks like next to some other devices. So we have the Droid Bionic in the middle, sandwiched between the HTC Evo 3D and the Samsung Nexus S. So as you can see, the Droid Bionic looks the largest out of the three. It's pretty close to the size of the Evo 3D, and it just dwarfs the Nexus S. So let's turn it on its side. See what it looks like from here. Nexus S is clearly thinner. Here we go. Evo 3D and Bionic are about the same size, it seems like, in terms of thickness. Alright, so let's move the 3D out of the frame here. Now we'll come back and take a look at the software in a little bit. Hey, take a look at that. It has that famous Gingerbread monitor turn off animation. Alright, let's move on to the hardware tour. So let's zoom in here, let that focus. We have our usual sensors, Motorola logo, earpiece speaker grill, and to the left we have a front-facing camera. I believe that's VGA resolution. I'll have to double check on that. Under that we have a large 4.3-inch display. The Droid 3 and the Droid X2 I believe had a 4-inch display, so slightly larger display here at 4.3 inches. It's the same QHD resolution, so that's 960 down by 540 across, and it's super bright just like the Droid 3 and Droid X2. So no problems with visibility outdoors. So let's zoom in again down here. We have 4 capacitive touch-based buttons. So you don't have the hardware buttons that you have to click in, just tap and touch in order to activate. So we have menu, home, back, and search. Down here we have a microphone, Verizon logo, and I like how they have this metallic finish down here at the bottom. It actually goes all the way around the sides too, similar to how the Droid 3 has that set up. Very elegant. Okay, so let's move on to the right side of the device. Over here, not much here. We have a volume up and down rocker. See how it performs with feedback. Alright, so decent amount of clickiness to it. No problems there. So let's move on to the top of the device. 3.5 millimeter headphone jack and power sleep button on the right. You also have your battery door latch if you want to take off the battery cover. And if we turn the device over to the side again, you can see it sort of tapers off down at the top along with the bottom. Alright, so move on to the left side of the device. Let's try and zoom in here, get a closer look, focus. Alright, so we have our micro USB charge and sync port next to our HDMI out port for mirroring. Down at the bottom, nothing down here. So we'll go ahead and move to the back. Oops, we have that upside down. Looks like we have a bit of plastic over here. Let's go ahead and pull that off. Same over here. Alright, so if you look over here, we have another microphone on that tapered edge, and then exterior speaker. Some logos, Motorola, 4G LTE, Verizon, Google. Soft touch battery cover actually feels very nice. And moving on to the right side, we have another microphone, so that allows you to pick up audio from multiple angles, depending whether you want to capture sound from the subject in front of you, or maybe you want to get a clear audio of your own narration from behind the camera. So we have an 8 megapixel camera over here. You can see it has an LED flash below it, and it's capable of taking full 1080p HD video. And it looks like there's also another speaker next to that. Let's get a close look at the camera. Alright, so now let's pull off the battery door and take a look at what's under the hood. Alright, so here's the battery door in case you wanted to see how flexible it was. And then you have your 1735 milliamp hour battery, so very large capacity in terms of the battery. We'll see how that holds up in our tests. So here's the preloaded 16 gigabyte micro SD card, and under that, I don't know if you can see it, but you have your 4G LTE SIM card. Alright, so let's pop that back on and take a quick look at the software before we wrap up the video. Again, we're going to film multiple videos on this device, including an in-depth tour of the software. For now, we'll just take a look at how it runs. Let's zoom in on this. Slide to unlock. Swipe through the screen. Very, very snappy performance. Seems a bit snappier than what we saw on the Droid 3 recently. That could be attributed to the full gig of RAM that we have now. Alright, take a look at our applications. Swipe through here. Nice. Again, we saw this with the Droid 3, but we have some new widgets in the famous Moto Blur interface. If you swipe upwards, you get an overview of all these screens. So that's a quick look at the Motorola DROID BIONIC. And this was the unboxing and hardware overview and a quick software demonstration of the device. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please take a second to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. More coverage on the DROID BIONIC coming soon, including a deeper look at the software, an LTE speed test benchmarks, some gaming, and more. So stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching.